Good day everyone. I am Mr. Bamanga Mahmoud Ahmad from the Department of Computer Science, Faculty of Computing, Federal University of Latvia. Your guide this moment on Latvia CSC 122 with the title An Introduction to Computer Graphics and Animation. Our course objective in today's session are to define the concept of computer graphics and animation, to explore the history and development of computer graphics and animation, to understand the impact and the application areas of computer graphics and animation in different fields of endeavor. Also to overview the common software tools that we use in the field of computer graphics and animation, so that at the end of this module, students will be able to explain the concept of computer graphics in details and animation. Also to identify the key milestones in the history of computer graphics and animation, to describe the impact of computer graphics and animation. Also, students will be able to list and describe the functionalities of some of the essential softwares or software tools we use in the fields of computer graphics and animation. Now, an introduction. Before we delve into the definition of computer graphics and animation, let's quickly look at what graphic is. Graphics is the art of drawing. So if by any way you can be able to depict or to replicate any real life object into a sketch, any real life object into a picture or into a pictorial object on paper, that is the art of graphics. So what computer graphic is? Computer graphics is the ability or is the creation, manipulation and representation of our visual images by the use of computer technology. That means in essence you can be able to use computer technology to sketch all these diagrams you usually sketch on paper, all these arts you usually do performed on a cardboard. So if you can be able to replicate those by the use of computer technology with the help of a software tools, so that you can be able to visualize those objects by use of that technology, you create, you can manipulate, that you can have the ability to edit so as to have them on paper or on that system, is what it means by computer graphics. So in computer graphics, we have what we call 2D images and 3D images. In the layman understanding of these 2D images and 3D images, the 2D images are those images that you can be able to see the frontage of the image only, that's the height and the width, while in the 3D images you can be able to see the in-depth of that particular image. So looking at these, we also have the key techniques we use to achieve or we used to conduct while performing our computer graphics. One is rendering, we have shading, we have texturing. So in our next modules, we are going to look these things in details. Now, the definition of animation. That's animation is the creation or is the creating the illusion of motion by displaying a sequence of images or a frame. Now for instance, we know on paper while we are sketching right from our primary school, if you want to have a continuous motion, that's why we are saying an illusion of motion. Now that object need to move from point A to B, from B to C, from C to D. That is why in the techniques you can see we have a frame of animation. The frame of the animation is that sketch that you are going to do. Then the motion capture is where you are going to have a continuous motion. That's the boundary in which that object can be able to move from point A to B, from B to C, from C to D. Then the last technique we have here is the stop motion. So your animation should have a starting motion and the end motion. The end motion now is the stop motion. So in this case you are going to have a series of images in which you are going to show that they are moving from particular point to point, from point to point. So in a deep critical thinking, is just the way we move. If for instance we are now leaving our hostel to our classroom, we know usually we start movement. So our start motion now is the hostel, our stop motion is the classroom. So here our keyframe animation is our own self now. So while our motion capture is the distance or the path in which we followed from our hostel down to our classrooms. So I hope you are following. So this moment you are going to have a step by step. So that's how you are going to be placing your object. This one will move from this point, this one will take from the other point to the next point, and so on and so forth. So, and in the short form, our application areas of these animations, we use it in the films, in televisions, in video games, and of course online content cannot be left behind. So let's look at the brief history of this computer graphics and animation, how it's been developed from when to when. So its computer graphics and animations begins in the 1950s. So in the range of 1950s to 1960s, so there is a creation of an image or a simple image and shapes, just the normal sketch we usually do. So in those days they usually draw those shapes by the use of early computing. That's the von Neumann's system architecture, if you have done computer system architecture and so on and so forth. By the help of Ivan Sunderland, he developed a system called Sketchpad. It's just like our normal AI Sketchpad that we usually bought to our junior ones or younger ones at home, that they usually use to practice how to write, how to sketch diagram and so on and so forth. So they develop that sketchpad where you can come and draw your simple shapes or simple diagrams. So in 1963 he developed that. So this is the first computer graphics program we have in place during that time. So in 1970s we now improve and have what we call a raster graphics. This deals with pixels. We are going to talk about pixels in our next module. While in 1980s there is in the development of a personal computers. So in that 1980s they developed a personal computers and GUIs, that graphical user interfaces, where you can be able to use that software interactively and then have your graphics or have your animations. So at that moment they introduced a softwares like Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Illustrations, we have Adobe PageMaker, we have CorelDRAW, and so on and so forth. So in 1990s, that the advance of 3D graphics, that is three-dimensional graphics, with the softwares like Autodesk, 3ds, Max, and Maya. We have blenders, we have Kits Go, and many these type of softwares that we are using today. So we have them in place during that time. So in 2000s we have the rise of a real-time rendering and interactive media with the Blender. Now there is an improve of Blender and of course an introduction to Unity, so where interactively you can be able to create your animations and your graphics. Then of course in the modern era we are today, we have an integration of AI, that's artificial intelligence and machine learning, in advances to VR and AR technologies. So that's why the VR with the virtual reality and the AR augmented reality, so they use that technology by the use of AI and ML to chip in those technology, where you have, of course, you remember we have video assisted referee, of course. So this, we achieve this with the use of computer graphics and animation. So this is the brief history and development of computer graphics and animation. I hope you have all following. So thank you. So let's look at the impact and application impact and the application areas of these computer graphics and animation. So where are we going to apply our computer graphics and animation idea or knowledge? So first of it, we have in the entertainment industry. So entertainment industry, if we are talking of like filmmakers or film industries, so we have CGI for visual effect and environment. So that's the computer graphics integration. So they integrate computer graphics and animation in the fields of film. Before, filmmakers usually go with only their cameras, with only their video recorders. They will go to the field of act, so they will act and then they will now video record their films. But now with the introduction of computer graphics and animation in field, so they can end up creating something like an avatar. If you are watching something like a horror film, so you can also use these animators to create a virtual environment. That's the virtual effect and the visual effect and the environment. So here you can be able to create an environment where you feel like that environment has never existed. Maybe you want to show, like for instance in film industries we can see an actor breaking or cracking a screen, or they can involve in a car accident which feels like a real scene. So that car can get burned by fire or and so on and so forth. So all these things are achieved by the use of computer graphics and animations, so that they can create a virtual scene that a listener or that person that is watching that very movie can feel that this is real, it's really happening, that accident has really happened and the car got burnt and the people there got injured and so on and so forth. So they use it in film industries, of course, as one of the entertaining industry. And in the field of football, they also use this. You can believe me, while you're watching all these soccer, you can see most often a flyer usually fly to the banners hanged in the field or in the stadium. So all these are achieved by the use of these computer graphics and animation. And of course we have them in the video games. So the real-time rendering for immersive experience. So here what they are saying in essence, that you can be able to use your graphics and animations idea to develop a video games. So all these PS2, PS3, the Mario, the Stereo, all these games, we use computer graphics and animations to what? To develop those things. So you have a huge advantage as a computer graphics or a computer graphics designer and animator to have to involve yourself in all these of gaming, video gaming, and all these games that we usually do at home. We can be able to at least depict or replicate those games in reality by the use of our computer graphics and animators idea. So secondly, we have advertising and marketing. So here, high quality of visual content for engaging advertisement is required. So in these days, usually most content, most products need to be advertised for that product to be sold out. So here you can be able to use your graphics to design that product. You design the product in which it can look attractive. I hope you are following. It can look attractive. You can animate it by the use of 3D product visualization, where you can have the in-depth of that, like you are having a Nutri-Milk or something. You can be able to visualize a way that you are drinking that visual. Like, I think, if I do remember, Gestic is also medicine, which is a liquid. So you can see, like, they visualize in such a way that if you are taking this Gestic medicine, so once you're drinking it, you can see like it's moving around your lungs, your stomach, and what have you. So they achieve this by the use of animations. So you can use that computer graphics and animation in advertising and marketing your product, in which your product can look attractive. Also, we have education and training. So in the field of education and training, we use computer graphics and animation. We utilize that very well in doing that. For instance, you want to create a warfront man, where you want to have an animation that you are showing how to remove or to detect a time bomb. You don't want to use a human, like you are putting the bomb there, let him go and see how he can detonate that bomb. So you can animate that very particular format, so he can move along maybe the bush or what have you, that you can create that scene virtually. So that very actor can be able to move from a point to that detonation place, and he can be able to detect and show probably the military personnel how to detonate that very bomb without going to the field. So you can use it in training, pilot, and what have you. So also you can use it to create a virtual classroom, where you can, just like I am like this, you can be able to visualize me as I'm sitting in front of this camera recording my classes. You can visualize me or visualize my actor to be teaching you, instead of like having an audio class. So you can be able to have a visual class, but not a human visualized class, but rather an animated visualized class. So, and in the healthcare industries, you can use computer graphics and animation, like medical imaging, surgical simulation, patient education, and what have you. Like we take instance for this surgical and simulation. You see, these days we can simulate a scenario. That is where we are having a digital twin and what have you, where you can simulate a patient lying on a bed, and you can also simulate a health practitioner that want to conduct that operation or that surgical operations. So you can have their movement right from their office to the scene of the theater. So you can just visualize everything you think of visualizing, please. So they can go there, the nurses will be there, all the practitioners will be there, the surgical personnel is there, picking the scissors from one tools to another, performing or conducting that operations and what have you. You can visualize all what is inside that your stomach, the health patient, and so on and so forth. You can visualize that. So those people in medical field, they can testify to that. Most of their equipment, you can also visualize the equipment in such a way that you're telling him this is to pick this is to do this is how to remove, how to conduct tests of various ailments and so on and so forth. So, and the next one is the architecture. Architecture and real estate can also not left behind. So where you can design your real estate. So if you are going in town, sometimes you can see estate with a very big banner. So where they visualize those houses within that estate. It's not like they did not complete building the estate, but imagine how are they having that pictorial representation of the estate on paper. So they achieve this by the use of a computer graphics and animation, where they modeled all what it takes in that very estate by the use of their 3D animation or 3D images, where you can see the in-depth of the room, the outer, the behind, all what is takes in the estate, please. So in the manufacturing and product design industry, so in this they use 3D modeling for prototyping and testing. So here what they are saying in essence, for you to have your product in place, you first of all need to visualize the idea. You have the idea at hand, you need to visualize it. Like first of all, you want to create a company, you start with your company name, you set the goal, you set objective, mission, vision, and what have you. So now these are the you want to create, you want to be producing like products in that very maybe a table water, bottle water, what have you, sachet water I mean, and bottle water. So you have your name, maybe John Ali. So John Ali is the name, is your name. So you want to create a company name right from that John Ali. So you think, why if you say J Ali or Alij J, that is ALIJ, Alij table water, Alij sachet water. This name can go a long way. So if Alij is the name of the company you want to give to your table water, so first you now conceptualize the name of the company. So you now need to visualize the company name. That's, you need to create a logo for that particular company name. So you end up creating the logo, company logo, by the use of what? Computer graphics and animation. So what are the products you want to producing in that company? Bottled water, sachet water, and what have you. Let's stick to bottled water and sachet water. So one, in the sachet water, you want to be producing sachet water. Okay, how will the package going to look like? So packaging is very important in marketing. So you will sit down again, think deeply, imagine how your sachet water is going to look like, visualize the concept by designing that image on the sachet water. you used to buy a sachet water now, so that's the label on that, on top of that sachet water is being like conceptualized visually before now printing on that sachet. So also the bottled water, you conceptualize it, you visualize by the use of what, your computer graphics and animation knowledge. So in the manufacturing industries where you can produce cars, vehicles and what have you, you can first of all design the model of the car by the use of this idea of computer graphics and animation. You visualize it, you take it to the workshop, they now conceptualize the idea, they have it. So now and again, how about the testing? You need to also visualize the testing, so where you can be able to what, to drive your car from one point to another by the use of these computer graphics and animations in the field of manufacturing and product design. So also we have the VR and the AR. We have talked about this one earlier, that the VR is the virtual reality and the AR is the what, augmented reality. This immersive digital environment and augmented experience, where in augmented reality you use remote control to control your simulations. Now, for instance, in gaming, you use what? You use remote control. Like those people that are playing PS2, they understand it better. They use what? Remote control to control those actors, those players in the field of soccer. We call them actors, so they can control the actors there by the use of their remote control. If we look at this scenario in soccer again, while the game is ongoing, we have what we call what, the goal line technology, where referee is having a wristwatch on his hand. So once that very ball pass certain percentage of that line, what, his wristwatch will now vibrate. So now they are using a remote control to control that goal line technology. So that is why sometimes the fan will believe that like this very goal is a goal, and referee will say it is not a goal because he did not get a vibration from his a response from his wristwatch. So because there is certain percentage that you need to in doing that simulation you need to take care of. So this is what is happening in the augmented reality. They use remote control to control the actors, where in the virtual reality you can virtualize whatever you want. You can virtualize as if it is real. We have a video assisted referee, right? So in the video assisted referee, you can see they are on play, the game is ongoing, and you will see if a player make a foul, they will pause and move to what, to a system. So in that system they will now be playing the system as if the game is ongoing, bit by bit, slowly, fast, and so on and so forth, where to show a fan that this is a typical foul or is not a foul. So that is what sorry, that is the use of virtual reality and augmented reality in the field of computer graphics and animation. So as a computer graphics designer and animator, you have a very broad field to catch on. So if you can study this course very well, you can be able to navigate in every aspect of life in a real life situation, where you can be on your own. The companies will be hiring you to design logos, to design banners, to design flyers and what have you. you can just stay on your own, doing a business on your own and what have you. So that is what for the impact and application areas of computer graphics and animation. So now let's look at the software tools that we use in computer graphics and animation. What is software? What is software? You have done COS 101, CSC 111. What is software? Software is what? Is the application or is the set of an instructions that is embedded in a particular program to perform either a specific task or what? Or already predefined task in a computer. So these softwares, or in the field of computer graphics and animation, we have a list of softwares that you can be able to use them, to adopt them in order to design your graphics, to what, illustrate your animations and so on and so forth. Remember, in the beginning of this class I said we have 2D graphics and animations, we have 3D graphics and animation, where in 2D graphics you can only see what, the frontage of an object. In 3D graphics you can be able to see the in-depth. As I am like this, you can be able to see some part of my head, some part of my ear, and so on and so forth. But in 2D you can only be able to see what, this very design. That's the one we sketch usually on paper. So these 2D graphic software, some of the tools we can use them in 3D, we can use them in 2D, like the Adobe Photoshop are mainly used for the 2D graphics and animations, where you can have a raster graphics editing. A raster graphics editing usually use a pixels to perform your graphics. So you use pixel, a value of an image, a value of colors of you, a bit by bit. You can be able to manipulate those images by the use of Adobe Photoshop, where we also have Adobe Illustrator, where in Adobe Illustrator we have, you can achieve your vector graphics creation. If we say vector graphic animation, this is talking about the what, the raw images or the raw graphics, where like it's a what, it's an original design. You did not, even if you export it, there is nothing like you see something like the dot on the graph and so on and so forth. It's just smooth. So we also have GIMP. It's also a software that you can use a raster graphics in editing and designing your graphics. And we also have Inkspace. It is also for what, for vector graphics design. So in these softwares now you have 3 softwares that are mainly for vectors, 2 that are mainly for what, for rasters. We are going to discuss on this raster and vector graphics later in the next module. So we also have a 3D graphics and animation softwares like that of Blender, which are mainly used for 3D modeling, animation and rendering. So where you can create a project of anything you feel like you want to do. So Blender is very rugged than all these other of softwares that we are going to be seeing here. We have also Autodesk Maya 3D, like the 3D modeling, animation, visual effect. You can perform all these sort of animation. We have Autodesk 3Ds Max, that's 3D modeling animation for rendering and so on and so forth. We have Cinema 4D, and this for motion graphics, rendering and so on and so forth. We have SketchUp. It's also a 3D modeling architecture that you can use for your 3D graphics and design. So also I forgot to mention, we have CorelDRAW. CorelDRAW is mainly for vector graphics, and in our class throughout this computer graphics and animation, for graphics we choose to use CorelDRAW in doing all our 2D design. The reason behind choosing our CorelDRAW is one, CorelDRAW is a vector, is mainly for vector graphics design, and in CorelDRAW you can be able to twist like as if you're using your hand to sketch or to draw something. You can be able to force. So that is why we did not pick something like Adobe. Adobe is more of AI related graphics design tools. So for this semester we are going to, for this computer graphics and animation one, we are going to be using CorelDRAW and Maya. Though Maya is little bit outdated, Blender is more sophisticated than Maya, but I don't think our system can take Blender. We try to see how we can get our Blender working, but we could not. So we end up having our Autodesk Maya to be working with, and the CorelDRAW. So before we move into a conclusion, please, you are advised to, if you have a system, go and download or get CorelDRAW on it, because our practical session will start very soon and we are going to be using CorelDRAW. In my system I'm having CorelDRAW 2024 CorelDRAW. So install it on your system, and most of these CorelDRAW are not, our license softwares are not they are not free softwares, they are licensed. So you get them to use, so that once we start our practical sessions you can be able to do it hands on practical sessions, so that we can be able to move together, we move along, so that at the end of this course you can be what, you can be making your aims in computer graphics and animation. You will find this course interestingly. So also this course have a practical manual that you need to get. That your practical manual, we have exercises that you need to undertake, and then submit back your practical manual to the what, assigned course lecturer. We are going to assign a course lecturer for what, retrieving that practical manual from you, and also during submission you are going to bond or write all your exercises that you have been performing, all the exercises on that practical manual. You are going to write the soft copy, you are going to bond the soft copy, each exercise is with its name, each exercise with its what, name. Then you now compile them together and then save it or burn it on that disk. So why I'm using burning, if you're using CD plate we use write or burning, but if it is a flash drive we can say you can save, but there is burning. And I choose CD because CD is more cheaper than a flash drive and so on and what have you. So in conclusion, computer graphics and animations are very, very important or very essential for creating any visual content in the various industries, this web design. So if you are in web design, you cannot do web design without computer graphics and animation, because all the banners, all the flyers, all these sort of images that you see on website have been achieved by the use of a graphics designer. And I know people that are making because we have the web designers that they know how to design website very well, but they don't have idea on how to create these banners, headers, footers, flyers, and what have you. All this animation in the content, they don't know how to do it, so they hire people. They will now tell them, please, I want this banner to contain this and this. So they define their needs. So those designers, they will now design it. So at the end of the day, they have their token out of what that web designer is earning. So they also have percentage in it. So please, this course is very important. So the history and developments highlight the technological advancements and creative breakthrough from what we have learned. So also understanding this impact or the application areas in which you can be able to deploy these computer graphics and animations idea can help you to appreciate the significance of this field. So knowledge of key softwares to these key software tools is very important for practical applications and professional growth. So please, I'm still advising, get to put your hands on one or two of these softwares we have mentioned, so that you can be able to be practicing this thing. Especially the practical manual is very straightforward. It's guided to the point that you can be able to do your practical yourself even without a guide. So thank you for listening. I appreciate your audience. You can also refer to these references and recommended resources. We have real-time rendering, 4th edition by Thomas Ekenem and Mola. We have also computer graphics. It's also a textbook, principle and practice of computer graphics. You can also visit tutorial points with the root directory of computer graphics index. You can also visit Class Central to have extra learning from what we are doing in class. Thank you for listening. Goodbye. See you next.